Hey kids, it's time for another exciting episode of KWJUDAS! This is Cuttmaster Cush here tonight on KWJUDAS, coming to you live from in the studio of Gumption City, Utah. That was a pretty awesome song we just heard there.
Yeah, I like
that. Who's playing guitar on that?
I actually play all the instruments on that one.
So that's a real guitar?
It is, yeah. I play all the instruments on most of my stuff myself when it's like real instruments like that. So that track's about probably 25 years old.
Wow.
I dug it up special for the show. So
nice.
Is it available anywhere online?
Not at this time. It'll only be an exclusive on your show.
Nice.
And, possibly another show, but right at this time it's...
Yeah, we like having previously unreleased stuff.
Right on.
So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Indeed. So you came clear from Tooele.
I did.
That's where you live?
I live in Tooele. Yep.
So where are you originally from? Or did you grow up there?
I actually grew up in Murray.
Word.
Yeah.
So did you just buy a house out there, or?
I moved from Eagle Mountain. I lived in Eagle Mountain for about 5 years and moved to Tooele.
Right. And I think you were saying earlier that the house in Eagle Mountain is the one that was haunted or bewitched.
Correct.
Was that part of the reason for your motivation for moving?
It was very much.
Okay, that's kind of cool. We'll hear the story a little bit later, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason that we had this guy on for our Halloween series is because he's got some stories to tell.
I do.
But we'll get on with that a little bit later. Until then, let's have another song because we do have quite a bit of music to get to.
We do. So we'll try and do a little less talking this time. But yeah, let's hear that next piece.
Indeed, this is Cuttmaster Cush here on KWJUDAS, Gumption City Radio.
Remix.
Cuttmaster Cush here on KWJUDAS, Gumption City Radio. Thank y'all for being with us tonight. And we have him live from Thule.
All the way from Thule.
Almost as far away from the mainlands as Gumption is. It's out there.
It's definitely another island.
It's further away than Eagle Mountain is.
Yes.
So, how long you been doing this?
Obviously, at least 25 years, right?
Well, I started doing it when I was a kid. Believe it or not, like a lot of kids, I was a only child, and I was kind of a nerdy kid, and I grew up tapping on the organ and, messing with music a lot and trying to figure out how to record my own music and putting together little recording devices and whatnot.
What did you start out with as far as like the program or the DAW you were on?
I really don't use any DAWs. I record on a multi-track recorder.
Oh, word.
And I do use Virtual DJ quite a bit. And so I'll take some of my recordings and then run it through Virtual DJ and kind of DJ my own.
How you get your mix. That's dope.
Stuff, yeah. So I could have 10 versions of one song depending what I run through there. And other than that, I just record on a multi-track.
Do you ever perform live?
I did perform a lot live when I was young. Started in 1993.
Damn.
And up to about 2004. And just done a couple shows recently, but I mostly just record at home.
So how come you stopped?
I had kids.
And
that
right.
That'll do it.
That changed a lot of stuff in a good way, but I never wanted to stop doing my music, so I was still kind of a music nerd all these years.
So you say you did a couple recent shows?
Yeah, well, I did one about 8 years ago with Sin. He's a rapper, local rapper.
Yeah, we've had Sin on here.
We've actually had Sin on here, yeah.
Yeah, he's a very talented friend of mine.
Good. Yeah, we've done a couple shows with him, too.
And so we opened up for You God from Wu-Tang Clan.
No shit.
And then I did a show with him about a month ago.
Oh, awesome.
But other than that, I don't have anything set up at
Nothing
the moment,
in the works?
But you never know.
Word. So when you do play live, what does that entail?
With those two shows, I played guitar with a band and Sin. And the last show we did with Ritual and Sin, and I sat in with guitar and bass.
No, I'm sad I missed that.
Ritual is a good friend of ours. He's been on here like 5 times.
Yeah, he's done like 5 shows, I think.
And he's an extraordinary talent as well.
Yeah, he's good.
He's an extraordinary gentleman. Like he's a close homie. He's a guy that we hang out with quite regularly.
He's a very cool guy. So.
Yeah, we've done a collaboration with him back in the Dregs Mob days.
Yep.
I can barely remember how to play that fucking song. I tried recording it, just on my own time, and
just couldn't remember it.
I can't remember where the change-ups are.
Well, I mean, the second you put a drum in front of me, the change-ups would just come out of me because that stuff just becomes... Yeah. It has been a long time, though.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Last time we did it with him, we just had him, decided to have him come up on stage and rap with us for his song.
Right.
It was
and he could barely remember it
himself.
Yeah.
Yep, he fumbled a couple of times as well.
So he's not the only one that can't remember the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Word. Well, let's have another song, shall we?
Yeah.
This is
another 2, maybe.
Yeah, we'll play a couple of them. The last 2 songs were Echo and Flare, and well, this one's just Listen to the Beat. This is Cuttmaster Cush, KWJUDAS, Gumption City Radio.
I want you to get ready to get on, cause I got some old nasty ass shit to talk tonight. the beat as we rocks like this.
one Lawrence. People said his brain was infected by devils. Maybe that was the problem. They were supposed to kill. They were supposed to kill. They were supposed to kill.
Cuttmaster Cush on KWJUDAS here, live from Gumption City. Thank you all for being with us tonight. That was a couple of different songs we heard, some of which came clear back from the 90s. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. It's a good 25-year-old.
Way back.
Is that stuff also not existent on the internet? Or
That is not. No, that is.
Well, after this show goes on, it will be.
Yes, a lot of that's not even on any of my social media. So.
Oh,
where do
wow.
we find you on the social medias?
You can find me at Cuttmaster Cush YouTube. Please share, like, and subscribe.
Word.
Facebook, Instagram. It's all under Cuttmaster Cush, so I'm out there.
Dope.
Hell yeah. Well, it's the
Middle of the
halfway through the show, so do you have a useless fact for us?
Oh, do I ever. I always do, though. This one, I think this one's a little more entertaining. Flatworms are all born male, and when they mature, they fight each other with their bifurcated penises. Bifurcated. They have,
What is bifurcated?
means that there are two of them. It is split into two. A snake's tongue is bifurcated. My beard bifurcates.
It's forked.
Yeah, they have a forked penis, and they fight each other with it. And the loser gets stabbed by the winner, and they become impregnated and turn into a female.
Wow.
Yeah, that's for one.
Flatworms?
That's for you intelligent design people out there. Yeah, flatworms. Fight with their bifurcated penises, and the loser becomes a female and has to carry the children.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
Where do flatworms exist?
Usually inside things, they're a parasite. Like cats and dogs can get flatworms, humans can get flatworms. They're a little more common because they can be a larger worm, so they're a little more common in livestock.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean they can get big,
Like how big?
like feet long, several feet long.
Really?
Yeah,
God damn.
yeah, several feet long.
And they just live inside of a
Like in the gut usually, I think.
word. That's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But it is part of our Halloween series, so there you go.
There you go, folks.
Well, we're going to play some more music, and then I think we should get to the story time.
Yes, agreed.
This is Cuttmaster Cush here on KWJUDAS, Gumption City Radio. Well, I
really liked that one.
That was the revamped Halloween 45 A-side. We'll get to the B-side here in just a sec, but for now, let's have story time.
Yeah, we've been promising you all a scary story.
So this guy lived in a house out in Eagle Mountain that he claims to have been haunted or something of the sort. So what happened out there?
A lot of things happened. I would start with some of the strange things I noticed when I first moved out there. One day I was driving and everywhere else was really clear. And I was coming up the highway, and just above Eagle Mountain was just like a big thunder and lightning storm, but it was just centered right over, centralized over Eagle Mountain. And I thought, wow, that's really strange. It looks like something out of the scary movies.
Right.
Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. That was one of the first things where I started thinking this place, Eagle Mountain, is kind of weird and creepy. When I first moved up there about 10 years ago, I thought the people were a little off right off the bat. Nothing against Eagle Mountain. Love Eagle Mountain people. But
you're just fucking weird.
Yeah, you're fucking weird up there. But anyway, we started having some strange occurrences right away. One of the first things I remember was laying on my bed. I was working graveyard shifts at the time, and my kids were with my ex-wife. We were going through a divorce, and no one was in the house but me. I was laying on my bed, and I just right as I started falling asleep, I felt something grab my foot, and it like wiggled my foot. And I jumped out of bed and looked around and realized, no one was at home. So I looked for my dog, and she wasn't there either. So it's really strange, kind of thought, well, I must have been falling asleep and dreaming. So didn't think much about that for a while until a couple of years later when my fiance was over and we were in my bedroom and something grabbed her foot and did the same thing. Well, I had never told her about that.
Oh, wow.
And she said, "Are you messing with me? Did you just grab my foot?" And right when she said that, I remembered
your incident of the same thing.
The incident I had. I started thinking, wow, that's weird. So I told her about it, and she didn't really think much. But as things went on, time went on, we started having a lot more things happen in our home. And would mostly occur in my bedroom. And my dog and certain just things were not right. My dog would act strangely and look at the corner of the room and start growling and it show her teeth. It was a Doberman. Hair would go up on her back, and she would just never do that before. This was just really out of the ordinary. And things like that would start happening. And, well, eventually it just progressed and progressed and progressed where one day my son was in the bedroom, and we built him a little fort out of blankets. He was in there and playing, and all of a sudden he just looked at the corner of the room, and he was terrified, and he pointed at the room and he screamed, "It's right there, it's right there." And he just panicked like a severe, and my wife and I looked at each other like, what in the hell is going on? Well, after that,
same corner?
It's the same bedroom. And so the dog would do that like downstairs in the other corners and stare at the other corner down in the living room. But this was up in my bedroom. After that happened, all kinds of weird things would start happening. My phones would start levitating.
Levitating?
Like getting thrown at us. like across the room.
So you had some poltergeist going on. Damn.
Yeah, we had something going on for sure. And that happened several times where we'd be in bed, and we would have our phones on the book nightstands.
Right.
And as we would say goodnight and turn around to go to sleep, all of a sudden the phone would get thrown onto the bed.
No
and
shit.
we would be like, what in the hell is going on? You know? And we'd put the phone back, and it would do it again a couple minutes later.
Huh.
Damn.
And we would just feel it hit the bed because we'd be in the dark, and we would just feel it go thump on the bed, and we knew exactly because it kept happening. Well, that happened about 15 times, I would say.
Wow.
And one night, I was in my bedroom, and I had a pyramid of cans that I had drank and sat on the night. You know, I always with my cans, I'll build a little pyramid, and that's my, you know, when I
so
know
it looks
I'm
like
done.
art instead of trash.
Exactly. Well, one night we went to bed, turned off the lights. Just a few minutes, just right as I was falling asleep, the cans were slammed against the wall right by my head. And I jumped up, turned on the lights, and the cans were just flown all over across the room.
Damn.
And at that point, I had had enough, and I told my wife that we needed to get a bishop to come and do his thing in the house, which they did. I talked to the previous owner and asked him if he had ever experienced any paranormal activity, and he said he never had.
Huh.
He was the first owner, so I was the second owner of the house. So we had the bishop come. He kind of asked their normal spiel where they ask the unclean spirit to leave and this and that. So we continued to live there, and it kind of slowed down quite a bit after that, but it never quite
It never stopped fully.
stopped. And one day I was out in my garage working on a camper that I was building. I had a little 5-gallon bucket sitting there that I was throwing my scraps in, my garbage. Well, I took a drink, threw my can in that bucket, and I turned around, and the bucket slid across the floor about 2 feet.
Oh, shit.
And all the hair on my body just stuck up. And I walked in the house, and I told my wife, it's still here. I think it's time to think about moving.
Damn.
Because whatever it is not...
It's starting to come back.
It's not wanting to leave.
Damn.
Wow.
So we did, and we eventually we got out of there pretty quick after that.
I would have gotten out of there, too. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
And when I moved out to Tooele, I did find a paranormal, like a Facebook paranormal, Eagle Mountain paranormal group.
Oh, wow.
And I would start reading through the comments and stories that people were sharing, and they were very similar to what we were experiencing with the dogs. My dog would spin around in circles for no reason, and people were saying their dogs were doing that, and people were saying that their kids were pointing at the corner, saying that they saw shadow people.
Crazy.
And so when I saw that the people were putting the similar stories, that really...
Dude, that's some Indian burial ground shit.
There is a strong history of the area being haunted up there.
What was it you were saying when we were off the air about somebody in
Like some famous
history,
past travelers going through, leaving...
Yeah, there's some famous writings of some, expeditions where they've documented that they've avoided that area completely because of it being haunted.
Be massive undertaking to have to go around something like Eagle Mountain, like...
Yes, and unfortunately in the 80s, there was a serial killer who killed some small children.
Oh, damn.
And he buried them up there.
Shit, so that didn't help any.
And when I was experiencing all these things, I always felt like whatever it was always seemed to do things like a child trying to be a nuisance, or like shaking my foot and all.
Yeah, childish stuff.
It was always like trying to wake me up. It didn't want me to sleep. Every time I'd start falling asleep, it would do something.
Interesting.
It would turn the water on and off, shut doors, lights on and off. And once I found out about the children that were murdered and buried up there, I just thought, wow, it's almost like it's just something to do.
So
with,
how old was the house? How long had the owner before you owned it?
I lived there for 5 years. I believe the house was just a couple of years old when
Yes, because
I
I don't believe that other guy when he tells you that he didn't witness anything. Like if the house was only a couple of years old and he'd already moved out, like he probably got freaked out and left and just didn't want to talk about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've wondered that myself. But we have not had any instances in my new home in Tooele, and I've never been a ghost hunter of any kind, always been a skeptic. But now I'm a believer for sure.
Well, you got lucky there, because I've heard of cases where like once you stumble into something like that, it can attach itself to you, and moving doesn't help.
That's right.
Yeah,
So you got lucky it didn't attach to you. Maybe it was unable to. But yeah, in my opinion, the fact that none of this, like not even a little residual like that's very, very fortunate in my understanding of things.
Yeah, I'll say. So, was there anything else about that you wanted to share, or should we get on to the next song?
I think that's about it.
I mean, that was good. That was a pretty good.
It's one of our better
story
ones
there.
for sure.
So, let's get into some more music here. This is Cuttmaster Cush here on KWJUDAS, Gumption City Radio. Cuttmaster Cush, KWJUDAS, Gumption City Radio. We are about at the end of the hour. Well, we have surpassed the end of the hour, but we still got one more song. And before we play that, anything you want to plug?
Well, I just want to thank you guys for having me on the show, and everybody like and subscribe to the Gumption Radio channel.
Yes, please.
Please share, like, and subscribe, and Cuttmaster Cush as well. And also I want to mention my song Toil and Trouble that's coming out on Halloween Day. So please share, like, and put it in your spooky playlist.
And we'll give you a little tease of that right now.
Yes, there's a couple different versions of that song, right?
There is. I made 4 versions of it.
And we're going to play the hip-hop version.
Excellent.
So thank you all for being with us tonight, and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Toil, trust, fire, burn, cause bubble, feeling of a city snake in cauldron, boiled bait, iron newt, toe of frog, wool of bat, and tongue of dog, adder sport, blind worm stain, lizards lay, and howlers wait. Fire, burn, cause bubble, cooling with a baboon's blood. Then char is burned good. Double, double, toil, trouble. Fire, burn, cause bubble, filling up a finny snake. In cauldron, oil bait. I am new, toe of frog, wool of bat, and tongue of dog. Adder sport, and blind worm sick. Lizard's leg, and howling squid. For a charm, a powerful drug, like a hell draw. Oil buckle, double, double, toil, trouble, fire, burn, cause buckle, cooling with a baboon's blood, and then the charm is burned good.
We'd like to thank you for joining us once again on another exciting and exclusive episode of KWJUDAS on Gumption City Radio. We now turn you back to our regularly scheduled Gumption City programming.